Well, it's time to rock and roll for the second season for us here at Lokomotive Leipzig in the Free League. Yesterday in a transfer special, we did a decent job of fixing some of the club's finance issues going into this new season, albeit sold some old bases and got some new ones in to do so. And hopefully we can get off to a good start like we did last season and get in that promotion hunt nice and early. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 20 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we do start the second season of life here in the Free Liga at Lokomotive Leipzig, our third season of the save, and take on two familiar faces from last season in RW Essen and Wehen Wiesbaden. So if you're looking forward to the start of the new season of the Leipzig Loko, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but we are picking up right where we left off at the end of the transfer special in yesterday's episode. That one covered off a new senior affiliate at the club and all the transfer business that we did do going in to the start of this new season. So if you missed that one, I highly recommend you check that one out. I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. We also did run through our squad, which is a little bit new look here at Lokomotive Leipzig off the back of a few free transfers as well as a few player sales, which have definitely helped out the club's situation financially these days. We are well and truly under the wage budget, about £2,000 under the wage budget in fact, so we could in theory still bring some new players to the club, albeit more likely we'll use that senior affiliate in Eintracht Frankfurt to strengthen up our squad in some areas that are still needed. In particular, wing-back, seeing as these days Eric Vufak is our only out-and-out backup on either side. So hopefully one deal that we did get in motion yesterday will come across the line during the course of today's episode for a loan from Eintracht Frankfurt with no wages being paid by us here as their lower league affiliates. That could come in handy nice and early, but we did run through the squad at the end of yesterday's episode going into this first game of the season. Unfortunately, Ricardo Grimm did pick up a little niggle during the course of pre-season, is only recommended for 45 minutes in this first game of the season. So that means that one of our new signings, Tim Lehmann, will partner Julian Weigel in the midfield. But apart from that, this is our first choice 11 going into this upcoming season, of course, with no Nico Reblay these days, seeing as he underperformed last season for the wage that he was on. And also, we did get rid of Khalid Abdurrahmane, which is usually why that midfield partnership would be Weigel and Ricardo Grimm these days, but otherwise we are at full strength. We're going to try Kevin Zizek, as I said, as a deep-lying forward this season. Hopefully that will sort him out. Otherwise, Jamal Ziani is still down on the bench to try and get us goals if Zizek does not deliver. In the first two teams that we are taking on this season are teams that we did take on late last season when we were looking to get that promotion playoff spot to try and make our way up to the 2 Bundesliga. First up, we take on RW Essen away from home. These guys are predicted to do slightly better than us in 10th this season. We're predicted around about 14th or 15th, albeit with a lot of teams below us in the season preview who cannot get promoted. So that season preview might be a little bit hard to judge in terms of teams' likelihood to get relegated for this upcoming season. And second up today, we are taking on Wehen Wiesbaden. These guys actually handed us the defeat, which made sure that we could not get that promotion playoff spot come the end of last season. So hopefully we can get some payback on them for that. Another team predicted to finish in a pretty similar spot on the table in 11th, and they have already played their first game of the season, pick up a 1-0 win at home over SV Meppen, albeit that second game is back at our home ground. So hopefully we can pick up a good result in that one in front of our home fans. But first up, we do travel away to the Stadion an der Hafenstrasse, and hopefully we can get off to another good start like we did last season for a slightly new look team as we take on RW Essen. And here are the team sheets for this first game of the season. There are the home team, RW Essen. They are going with a 4-2-3-1. Hopefully we can get off to a good start against these guys. Our form against them last season, I believe, was pretty decent as our team has ran through before. Just that one change in the midfield, Ricardo Grimm only recommended for 45 minutes. But still, hopefully, even though this isn't an away game, we can get off to another decent start. And it's taken a half hour for the first highlight to come in this game. We are on the front foot. Have noticed through the stats we are starting to get a little bit of ascendancy in this game, but so far it's been pretty quiet. Obviously this season, seeing as we ended quite well on this mentality last season, we are going with a positive mindset and try and get something going now down this right-hand side. Nice little touch there from Owosu. Picks out a Tilgan at that far post, but unfortunately his header just goes over the bar. But the first highlight is in our favour as we start to try and get on top here of RW Essen, and not too long off the back of that opening highlight. We now do have a free kick, and a Tilgan finds himself in a bit of space there down the left-hand side, albeit took that touch probably to the wrong side and does give the ball away. And now RW Essen did have the ball, albeit good work from us there to get it back. Lehmann nearly gets in behind the defence, but some good recovery work there. Defender does get a foot in, and that stops that shot being a lot more powerful than otherwise it could have been. Potentially, debut goal was on the cards there for one of our new signings. And then Leon Heinke from a corner just puts that one over the bar, but now getting right on top of the opposition, but still 0-0, just shy of half-time. And that was it for the first half of our first game of the season here at RW Essen. Unfortunately still locked up at 0-0, but off the back of the highlights that we did start to see, we really took control of that first half, so hopefully that does continue when the second does get underway. Unfortunately, Lehmann on debut, only going fairly on a 6.4. Ricardo Grimm can handle one half of action, so we will bring him on for the second half, and hopefully that might improve us just that little bit, so we can hopefully get on the score sheet and bring home all 3 points. We'll get back underway, still locked up at 0-0. And just past 10 minutes into the second half, we have picked up a couple of early yellow cards. Ricardo Grimm has picked one up, but we just brought him on at half-time. The other player, Linus Simmer these days, our club captain, so Eric Vufak can come on for him at left-back with just over a half hour left, still at 0-0. And only a few minutes off the back of that first substitution of the second half, we do get the first highlight, and yet again it does look like it is going to be in our favour. So far quite encouraged by how we are playing in this one, and Kevin Zizek does just get in behind, albeit that shot is from a very tight angle. The goalkeeper can make a pretty comfortable save while on top, but unfortunately still 0-0 with around about 20 minutes left. And just off the back of that last highlight, I do think it's now time for us to make our last couple of substitutions. As you can see, a few players are down to red heart, so Heinke can come off for Piplica in the DM role. Also Daniel Ahendu, another one of our new players here at the club, he can come on, go to right back, and Panzo Ernesto can go into central midfield. And we've also got Osman Atilgan down to a red heart, another debut here, this time for Anton Bulland. Hopefully some of these new faces can get us over the line, because we are well and truly on top in this game so far, but it is still 0-0. And we are inside the last 5 minutes of this one. Might be time to go attacking soon, but to be fair, we have been well on top for most of this game, even though not much has actually happened during the course of the second half. And unfortunately, despite the fact our XG a lot higher than the opposition, even though we only have the one shot on target, which is a little bit criminal, we do only get a 0-0 draw out of the opening game of the season, albeit to be fair, that's still not too bad considering the way that we played in that game. I'd be a lot more worried if I was RW Essen with only 4 shots and none on target, but a pretty encouraging performance, especially with some of the players from last season, which we are now missing. It was a decent performance. Hopefully we can build from that in the second game of today's episode and pick up 3 points back at home when we do take on Wehen Wiesbaden. Of course, those guys come into that one off the back of an opening day win, but thankfully we start off the season with a point away from home. Hopefully we can pick up a few more at home when we take on Wehen Wiesbaden. And just before we get to that second game of today's episode against Wehen Wiesbaden, only a few days off the back of that opening one, so it does potentially mean we are going to rotate a little bit for that game. Of course, last season we did suffer a fair few injuries, so it might be a good idea to try and use our squad depth this season at Lokomotive Leipzig. But a few updates here a couple of days prior to that game. The player that we are trying to get from Eintracht Frankfurt has agreed to join us on loan for no money whatsoever, and that is Ben Luca Fischer. He is a centre-back but can also play right-back, so that means he will be the backup to Panzo Ernesto for this upcoming season, and Eric Vufak can now be the backup left-back, so that now sorts out our issue at wing-back. Decent player, 2.5-star current ability and 4.5-star potential, so hopefully he can do a decent job for us when called upon. Can the man who most recently has spent some time down in the Eintracht Frankfurt second team, and also of course this season at Lokomotive Leipzig, off the back of a 4th place finish last season, we are in the DFB Pokal, and that starts pretty soon, probably in the next episode at the start of next week, and we have got the draw for that first round, and we take on a team from the 2 Bundesliga in Firth, and that could be a real test for us. It is in front of our home fans, but they are a team who only got relegated from the Bundesliga just last season. So this is going to be a really good test for us going against the team from the 2 Bundesliga and who spent some time not that long ago up in the top division of German football. Hopefully we can do a decent job in that competition, and hopefully it might actually help us a little bit financially if that is the case as well. Not too sure how financially beneficial a good run in that competition is just yet, but those are a few key updates before we do get into the second game of today's episode. We're going to be taking on Firth in the first round of the DFB Pokal coming up at the start of next week, and also a new player here at Lokomotive Leipzig. We have got Ben Luca Fischer on loan from Eintracht Frankfurt. And we are back with the team sheets for the second game of today's episode against Wehen Wiesbaden. As you can see, we have rotated a little bit for this game, especially on the left-hand side of defence. 2 changes in the midfield, as well as Ziani in for Zizik up front. All those players who are now down on the bench are on a heavy workload off the back of that first game in the pre-season. So hopefully giving them a rest does mean less injuries during the course of this upcoming season, but hopefully still at home we can get some points off the back of an encouraging draw away in our first game of the season. And it's only taken 7 minutes for the first highlight. It is in fact a corner here to Wehen Wiesbaden, so hopefully this one does not turn into a one-sided affair off the back of these guys grabbing a win on the opening day. We deal with the initial danger, but now they have the ball here just outside of the box. Good chance there for Fechner from outside. It's a really good strike, but thankfully comes off the post. We clear the danger, but we go close to going 1-0 down early. Thankfully still 0-0, but only a few minutes later it is another corner here to our opposition, this time on the other side, and that's shocking from Assert in goal. Comes out to claim that, doesn't get there, and we go 1-0 down just shy of the 15-minute mark. And early it looks like Wehen Wiesbaden are going to be very dangerous from corners in this game. Assert, that is really poor, albeit to be fair, Ernesto could have probably tried to keep that one out at that far post, but it's been a poor start, and we go 1-0 down. And just shy of the half-hour mark, we do get the next highlight in this game, and it is a free kick to our opposition. So unlike that first game, this one so far completely in their favour. Somehow they telepath there through Ernesto. Eagles tries to clear that one, goes straight into the path of Schmidt, and that is a very unfortunate goal, but somehow that's found its way into the top right corner, and that was a little bit of an implosion. That feels like a harsh goal because he is absolutely teleported through Ernesto there also. That is one heck of a falcon into the top right corner from Schmidt from that clearance from Eagles, and now we're in trouble. 2-0 down just past the half-hour mark. And just shy of half-time, there is one more highlight, and yet again here it's a throw-in to our opposition. So all the highlights in this first half, well and truly in their favour. Also, Eric Vufak has picked up a yellow card, so he will probably come off at half-time for Linus Zimmer, albeit lots of players out there on poor ratings, so we might ring the changes at half-time. Schmidt there was looking for a double, but thankfully this time Eagles gets in the way, and it doesn't find its way into the back of our net, but they have another chance here through a corner. They get a head on the end of that one, but thankfully, in fact, it was our head, and it does go wide. So another chance here for them from a set piece, but this first half has well and truly been all Wehen Wiesbaden. They put this one into the mixer. Thankfully, this time Assert stays on his line and makes a save, but that was a very poor first half, actually looking worse here in this game than we did in that opening one away from home. Maybe made a few too many changes, just looking out for player fitness a little bit too early in this new campaign. So obviously ringing the changes here at halftime with some of those player ratings. Zimmer at left back, Lamptey can come on for Eagles, also Ricardo Grimm for Vayner. Tilgan's on a 6.4, so Anton Bulland can come on for him, and also Zizik will go up front on that deep-lying forward role, which hopefully will give us a bit more going forward. That was a pretty awful first half. We'll tell the guys that and hopefully perform a bit better in the second half. We'll get it underway, 2-0 behind. And it's only taken a few minutes in the second half for the first highlight. Free kick there in Wehen Wiesbaden's favour, but thankfully that one goes over the bar, but they are still well and truly on the front foot and still 2-0 up early in the second half. And only a few minutes off the back of that previous highlight, now we have one down the other end finally. Hopefully we can eventually do something in this game, and Ernesto will tidy that one up for us down that right-hand side, picks out Piplica in that defensive midfield role, releases that to Owosu. Now Grimm back to Piplica, but a bit slow on the ball, and now the opposition did briefly have a chance there to get on the counter-attack, but thankfully some good work there from the likes of Lumpy does mean we do get back in position. So this is now our backup centre-back partnership who are knocking the ball about. We get it out to Ernesto, yet again Owosu starts to make his way forward down that right-hand side, just stops there briefly. Zizek does just get in behind and he'll beat the goalkeeper there from a tight angle, and hopefully now we can get on the front foot a bit more. Only one goal behind despite the fact we have been decidedly average based on the highlights we have seen, albeit that match momentum actually didn't look that bad, but we have been a bit leaky defensively. But thankfully we finally get on the score sheet 2-1, just shy of the hour mark. And just about into the last 20 minutes of this game, and yet again we are on the attack here, and Kevin Zizek just getting behind the defence, albeit it takes his time there as we do slow things up. But Lehman there with a shot, but unfortunately it was a little bit of a worm burner, and it does just go wide of the post. But we're starting to get on the front foot just a little bit, but we are still 2-1 behind for around about 10 minutes left. And in fact, just as we're about to enter the last 10 minutes, there is a highlight now here for Wehen Wiesbaden, and they do take their time here, taking this one as you would expect away from home with that good lead, which they did build up in that first half. And now that was a good tackle there from Piplica, but unfortunately, we don't deal with the danger it falls to Amin Faluk. He beats Isadogan in goal, who was not having a good game, on a 6.2. That might go down even further. Maybe need to go back to what I was thinking last season and maybe spend that extra wage budget on a better goalkeeper if we can find one. But that is poor at the back. Good work from Piplica, but unfortunately Lumpy and then Dogan can't deal with the danger, and that might be all she wrote. 3-1 down with about 8 minutes left. And we're just entering the last few minutes of this game. It's been a pretty dismal one from us, it has to be said. Maybe made a bit too much rotation going into only the second game of the season, but it was only a few days off the back of that opening game. And unfortunately, we do suffer a 3-1 defeat, albeit in terms of overall stats, apart from XG. It was actually a fairly even game, but obviously the opposition did look quite dangerous from set piece, and that is exactly the same result that we did suffer late last season, and that was the result, which did mean we did no longer have a chance of making that playoff to get up to the 2 Bundesliga. So it does feel like Wehen Wiesbaden do have our number at the moment, and they go top of the table off the back of that result. So completely different positions for these two teams compared to what it was towards the end of last season. Now we are down in the relegation zone, which is a little bit of a concern, but to be fair, doesn't feel like we've played that badly in both performances based on the stats. That first game in particular, a lot better than what we did just see, but unfortunately we suffer a 3-1 defeat in our home opener against Wehen Wiesbaden. And back in the inbox off the back of those 2 games in today's episode, decent start away from home there against RW Essen, even though it was a 0-0 draw, but that one is a bit of an ouchie. They were just well on top of us in that first half. We got going a little bit in the second, but then conceded again and suffer another 3-1 defeat to those guys. And that's a team who last season did just finish outside of a relegation spot. So they were a team who nearly went down last season. So it is not an ideal start, albeit this season they have got off to a much better start, but still might be a bit tougher for us this season now that we are trying to actually keep within the wage constraints here at Lokomotive Leipzig. And maybe off the back of that performance from Isadogan, we also need to look for a new goalkeeper. A 6.0, not really good enough for someone, and he is only 2.5 star rated as well. So maybe that is an area we can try and improve on with our spare wage budget of just over £2,000 and also a transfer budget of around about 20,000 as well, if we do find someone on the cheap at another football club. Also, Ricardo Grimm did pick up a late orange injury in that game. Thankfully though, only a bruised ankle. He should be back in time for the games that we are going to play during the course of the next episode at the start of next week. But I think that will do it for the first episode of the new season gameplay-wise here at Lokomotive Leipzig and the Leipzig Loko. If you enjoyed that one, that draw, and then a loss, so not a great start, but still, hopefully, we can improve off the back of this. But if you enjoyed it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. We'll come back early next week. Hopefully it's going to be a video released on Tuesday New Zealand time, Monday UK time, albeit Monday here is a public holiday, so I'll try and get a video edited for you guys. I'll let you know if that will not be the case over on the community tab, but we've got one game that we're going to be playing in between episodes. That is against the Schalke Seconds. That could be a tricky one away from home, but we are going to come back and play our first cup game of this save. It's taken us a few seasons to get in to that DFB Pokal, but we're going to take on that team newly relegated from the Bundesliga at home in Glühverfürth. No doubt that one will be a tough one. It might even be a game if we're still struggling in the Free Liga, where we might try out some different stuff and also rotate the team a little bit yet again. And off the back of that, we will take on a team newly promoted up from one of the regional Liga divisions in Beirut, and hopefully we can get back on track in that game off the back of a poor start in the Free Liga, but we'll come back and play those two games. Most importantly, though, our first game in a cup competition of the save. Hopefully, might be able to pull off an upset, get on a cup run, and see if that can help us out just a little bit financially here at Lokomotive Leipzig, even though these days the finances are nowhere near as bad as they were at the start of that transfer episode that we did do yesterday, but hopefully we can pick up some better results in those two games at the start of next week. And until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, life through the sadness. Don't know how